What's the angle? I'm not playing that game. It's the same business with a different name. Who's the target? Sorry, I'm not in the market. If I quit buying, you can't sell me anything. No thanks, I'll pass. I don't want any of that. I'll just take my chance.
And I got nothing! Nothing!
Fail!
No thanks, not
Fail!
now.
Fail!
Maybe this
Fail!
star's on
Fail!
I'll just take my chances.
Nope, I'm out. I can't.
Guys, it's 2024, which of course means there's a ton of new MMORPGs dropping, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be great, as we've seen the rise and fall of MMOs within the last few years. This is why it's important to look into the games you're debating on playing so you don't waste your time, excitement, or your money, and we're here to play those games to show you what it's all about. So sit back, grab a snack, and watch me suffer through games that aren't my cup of tea just to see if it might be yours.
Please help me.
Arthdal Chronicles is a wonderful Korean drama that you can watch right now on Netflix if you should feel so inclined to do so. I, for one, have enjoyed it thoroughly. Instead of our usual shows inspired by games, we have a show that inspired a game. Arthdal Chronicles 3 Factions is based in the same world as the TV series, and will divulge even more about this beloved drama story within it. As of April 24th, 2024, Netmarble and Studio Dragon launched the MMORPG within South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau with full cross-platform functionality on iOS, Android, and PC, with a global launch planned for an undisclosed point in the future. So bear in mind, if you'd like to download and play the game, fully immersing yourself within its world, you technically can. But you'll have to deal with the language difference until global launch, as there is no English localization implemented. But fear not, understanding what's going on isn't really all that necessary, and we'll get into why here shortly. Currently, there are 4 classes to pick from, with a 5th class on the way. And much to many of your delights, there is both male and female choices for all classes. There is warrior, archer, healer, and some type of axe wielder. The character creator is pretty decent, something I tend to appreciate with Korean MMOs, and you have the capacity to make some very pretty characters all the way to some fairly ugly ones. If you'd like to see the character creator in detail, check out my video on it. I, in my infinite wisdom, having played many cross-platform games, like this one in the past, and despite knowing in my heart of hearts this was the dumbest choice possible, went healer. While this class may be viable if you're playing with friends, it isn't that viable alone. Once you reach around level 10, you'll need to choose which faction out of the 2 to join, as the 3rd one isn't available yet. The world is open and vast in its reaches, with instance dungeons, story, and beautiful landscapes, but the reality is that this is a mobile game that has been ported over for PC users, and it is a Korean game which is notoriously grindy. So if you hear me crying a little bit when telling you about this, just know I did this as a healer, so my view is slightly skewed, and I can acknowledge that.
For I am a healer.
As you begin moving through the game, you'll notice there is auto combat, auto pathing, and auto healing potions. Yep, an immediate red flag for fans of games that require you to actively play them. You'll be led through beautiful areas on twisting, winding, sometimes looping auto path to the next quest. The areas aren't without purpose though. There are hidden chests with various goods placed among cities and sometimes out and about, and there are various collection points for lumber, mining, fishing, and foraging, which are all 100% necessary. Interestingly enough, the game has a functional seasonal system implemented, with areas possessing alternating seasons. Accompanying the various seasons is the need to wear appropriate gear to prevent you from suffering due to severe weather conditions. If you don't have suitable gear equipped, it would appear that it affects your HP being normal or lowered. Most gear sets are crafted or bought through the shop, which is why I'm saying it's important to collect all the resources out in the world, because if you don't have those pieces of gear that aid you in protection from various weather conditions, you're going to be at a disadvantage for open world PvP. The combat, if you're not utilizing auto combat, is tab target or just an auto lock on to the nearest target. You do have a dodge skill with a 15-second cooldown and a knockdown recovery for a minute cooldown. So just, move out of the red AoEs by walking out. Easy clap. Or, if you're looking to spice things up, try guessing how many telegraphed attacks the AI will stand in per fight. All of them. Auto combat is nearly a must in this game because, as I mentioned before, it is grindy. You have plenty of time to just simply stand up and AFK while you kill 200 plus of a target that progressively takes longer and longer to kill as you get to higher levels, because needlessly bloating HP pools are a real thing. And if you aren't grinding to craft yourself better gear, or RNG hasn't been kind to you, you're going to be very weak. And that's going to suck, because at level 30, open world PvP unlocks and you can't hide from it. So if you're in the middle of killing your 200 monsters and you AFK because you're not going to stand there for 30 minutes, I hope you've made peace with the fact that when you come back, you'll probably be face down in the dirt. You can set yourself to attack anything in the area bothering you, but unless you're wailing, you're not going to be as strong as the other people looking to gank you. Which leads me to pay to win. Yes, this game is pay to win. End of story. You can go to the shop and buy gear, crafting materials, upgrade insurance material, and gacha mechanics for pets and mounts that has a direct effect on your overall power, health, and speed. There are also 3 tiers of battle passes which provides you infinitely important materials. If you're free to play player, you're going to get slaughtered, which causes you to lose XP each and every time you die. Successfully reacquiring lost XP costs in-game money and takes you back to the main city. Unless, of course, you happen to be the world's best material grinder alive, but wait! To obtain the items used to collect higher grade materials, such as the pickaxe or axe, you have the option to directly purchase them via the shop, which effectively saves yourself a whole lot of time you would have otherwise wasted grinding the materials necessary to craft the tools in the first place. Then, if you're wanting to make money and you happen to be a material hunter and collector, you can sell these materials in the market, but only after putting in your phone number and information. These are hard requirements for selling. I feel like I don't need to explain this any further than I have. If you're looking for content to do besides grinding monsters, killing world bosses, collecting materials, and doing the story in the open world, you can do various instanced activities. There is a cost associated with entering any dungeon, a currency that is obtained by, yep, as you guessed it, purchasing it through the shop, or treats you get from completing login tasks, or simply waiting for the weekly refresh. The rewards are RNG drops, so even if you're spending the currency, it doesn't guarantee you a relevant piece specific to your class. On the contrary, it could be absolutely any class. And in the instance dungeon, you can actually purchase, with real money, more slots to potentially win gear. That's for you. Yeah. You can also do 2 types of daily tasks where you can go kill up to roughly 600 various enemies to get a box with an RNG chance of giving you green gear to assist you in becoming more powerful, and pieces of currency per completion of tasks towards a section of a shop. I have yet to obtain a piece of green gear from it, and I've been grinding for over a week. Or, if you want to safely AFK grind monsters, you can go into a daily dungeon that allows you to sit there and attempt to grind gear for an hour, or even 8 hours. And sometimes the drops are gear that aren't even for your class. And if you don't want to play the game but want the game to play itself, you can actually log off and it will AFK grind for you. If you're in the mood for socializing, you can join a clan which seems to have an in-game base that'll unlock if you get to a certain level. Speaking of content to do, the dungeons, which consume a currency to enter and receive rewards, are apparently too hard for people to get. There's this one mechanic that's necessary before the boss goes berserk and just murders you all, but for the love of all that is good, I cannot tell you how much currency and time I wasted due to incompetent players that were unable to do a simple mechanic that they even came with a video explanation before you enter the dungeon. They literally walk you through it holding your hand. It's almost impossible to mess up. In theory, this is wildly frustrating, but at the end of completing the dungeon, I was greeted by the fact I could pay money to receive additional rewards. It's equally as frustrating that out in the open world, when you kill a boss, its rewards are based on total damage done to it, so me, as a healer, who has done like 3 damage and has 3 damage skills, I tickle the boss, so I'm useless. I am completely useless. I regret deeply going healer class because not only were my heals weak as hell, my auto-potting did more good for me than my own heals. Also wasn't necessary in the dungeon or boss fights up to the point that I played. Maybe later in the game healers will be in higher demand, but I felt like more of a hindrance than anything else, at least, you know, up until level 35. I think it goes up to level 70. I don't know. I was not useful to myself, so maybe I was doing something wrong. If you enjoy crafting and gathering, there is that in this game. Just be prepared for RNG once more. In retrospect, they should have called this RNG Chronicles. As you attempt to collect the materials to craft various items, you'll find that it's an RNG drop from where you can potentially go out in the map and gather it. Then, once you collect all your items and craft said items, it's an RNG chance for upgrades unless you craft or purchase the materials to ensure the upgrade goes through successfully. Then yes, we're still going. If your upgrade fails for whatever reason, you completely lose the item in its entirety. The weapon or piece of gear you've been working on. There's even an RNG chance you'll fail to craft the materials you're trying to craft once you RNG collect the materials that you need to craft the material. I know that barely made sense, but that's this game's RNG in a nutshell. So to say this game nearly broke me to craft a piece of gear, I mean it. The only crafting I actually enjoyed was the cooking side of things, as at least that was something I could control and was a benefit to me, providing me with stat boosts. Overall, the game is beautiful, especially for a cross-play game that is clearly meant for mobile, and probably has a decent story that I just don't understand yet due to the language barrier. It is, for all intents and purposes, not any different than Traha that shut down earlier last year and V4 which shut down. I don't foresee this game doing that great in the West, and I feel like I've played these games plenty of times with the aforementioned games. I know some of you are looking at this game and you think it looks great and fun for you, and that's fine. That's why I'm doing this, so you know it's there, but I also want to say this for the people that are looking at this game excitedly, and I want to make sure you adjust your excitement because this is the game, you know? You can play it now. You can spend money on it now, and you can see for yourself how you feel about it right now. It's not without some amusement, but I don't think this game is going to change enough to suit the Western market where it'll thrive for a long time. Anyway, this was MRSSTIX, logging off for now. Bye!
Tell me, how can I get through?